All right, so most people think they know what Dallas, Texas is about before they even get here. And honestly, I've had some of those same assumptions too. But now that I'm actually on the ground here working with people who are making the same move, guys, I got some realities for you that nobody's really even talking about. So stay tuned as I break down the 10 realities about living right here in Dallas, Texas. All right, so everybody talks about the no state income tax in Texas, right? And yeah, it's definitely a real thing, but here's what nobody tells you about Dallas specifically, guys. The toll roads here are like a second rent payment. And I'm not even joking when I say some people are spending upwards of $300 to $500 a month just to get back and forth to work. George Bush Turnpike and Sam Rayburn tollways, these aren't those occasional conveniences, guys. They're basically mandatory infrastructure if you want to get anywhere in under an hour. And these are going to be for those folks who want to live in those northern suburbs that everybody's talking about, right? Frisco, Plano, Prosper, these areas are where the tollway is non-negotiable. And here's the kicker, right? A lot of the jobs are going to be in one area and the affordable housing is going to be in another. So you're either going to be paying it in your mortgage or you're going to be paying it in tolls, guys. You got to just pick your poison. But here's the thing, guys. You need to factor this into your budget before you move and not after. Because I've seen plenty of people get shocked by that first month of toll bills and suddenly that affordable Texas living doesn't feel so affordable anymore. Now, some people get what we have down here called the toll tag and just accept it as a part of life. Others structure their whole life around avoiding the tolls altogether. But either way, guys, you need to know this is coming so you're not caught off guard. So when people say they're moving to Dallas, they usually have no idea what they're actually talking about. Because Dallas, the city, and Dallas, the metroplex, are completely different things. Listen, you got people living in Frisco saying they live in Dallas. You got people over in Fort Worth, which is literally a different city like 30 miles away, and they say they live in Dallas as well. And here's where things get really wild. Each of these areas have a completely different vibe, a different culture, even different economics. Plano feels like a master plan Silicon Valley suburb. McKinney has that small town square energy, and Deep Ellum is gritty and artistic, while Highland Park is old money and exclusive. And then you got areas like Richardson and Addison that are basically their own little international food hubs. So when somebody asks you where you should live in Dallas, guys, the real question is, what version of Dallas do you actually want? Because they're not really interchangeable, right? Because if you end up picking this wrong, you're gonna be spending half of your life in the car trying to get to the Dallas you actually wanted. All right, everybody knows that Texas is hot, but what they don't tell you is that the heat here isn't just uncomfortable, it's expensive too. I mean, your electricity bill from June through September is probably gonna be doubled in the winter months, right? We're talking about anywhere from $200 to $500 depending if you have a newer home or an older one. For instance, we built this home back in 2022, 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, about 3,000 square feet. It's energy efficient, and our light bill here is about $250 a month. In the summertime, it kind of creeps up to $300, $350, but again, this is 3,000 square feet, guys, so that's what you can expect. And that's because in the summer, when it's 105 outside, your AC isn't just running, guys, it's fighting for its life. And here's the thing, you can't really just tough this heat out and then keep your house at about 80 degrees because the humidity will destroy your house, guys. We're talking about mold, mildew, all of it. Now, Dallas is not nearly as humid as Houston, so that would be even another issue for them, but we do have a bit of humidity and you just don't want to be that uncomfortable in your own home. So the moral of the story is you're paying to keep your house at 72 whether you like it or not. And if you're looking at houses, make sure you're asking about the insulation, the age of the AC unit, which direction the house faces, because a house with west-facing windows and a 15-year-old AC unit is basically a money pit during summer. And also, a lot of people are thinking about these solar panels these days. And honestly, it's not that bad if you're moving into an older home and you plan on living there for 15 to 20 years. But the realities of solar is they cost you way more up front. You're probably ending up having to lease them. And if you try to sell within that 5-year period after you've moved in, you're either gonna have to use your equities to pay off the panels or the new buyer is gonna have to assume that lease, which none of them are going to do that. Listen, I'm not a fan of solar, especially in new construction homes, but to each their own. All right, so this is something that nobody ever tells you, right? Now, within 6 months of living in Dallas, guys, you're gonna have strong opinions about suburbs that you've never been to. It's really a part of the culture here for people to speak on places that they really don't know about. People are gonna ask you where you live and then immediately they'll have a reaction, right? Oh, Flower Mound, that's nice and quiet. Allen, that has the great schools. Louisville, man, you're saving money, smart play. And then before you know it, you're gonna start doing it too because the suburb you choose says something about your priorities, right? Look, families go over to Capella and South Lake. Young professionals, they're like Uptown and Knox Henderson. People who want all the land, they go out to Prosper, Salina, or down in South Dallas. And here's the wild part about it all. All these places are like 20 to 40 minutes from each other. but they might as well be in different states in terms of culture and cost. So at the end of the day, you've got to figure out what you value: schools, nightlife, space, diversity, cost of living, and then reverse engineer which suburb matches your tune. Because Dallas doesn't really have neighborhoods the ways that other cities do. It has suburbs with their own identities. But hey, real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, I'm Mark with the Dallas Relocation Guys, and we help people buy, sell, and relocate right here to the Dallas metroplex, guys. Look, nobody's out here boots on the grounds giving you the insights, intel, and all the things that you need to make the most informed decisions for you and your family. So if you're thinking about making a move, guys, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info's down in the description below and pinned to the top of the chat. All right, so everybody thinks Dallas is just steakhouses and Tex-Mex, and yeah, we've got plenty of all of that. But the real food scene here is hidden in those random strip malls in the small areas that you'd never expect. I mean, honestly, some of the best tacos I've ever had in life was located at a freaking gas station, cash only. Listen, you got some of the best Korean food in the country up in Carrollton. You're gonna have some incredible Vietnamese over in Garland. There's a whole Ethiopian and Eritrean community with amazing restaurants as well. You've got legit Texas barbecue, obviously, that everybody knows that we're famous for. But you also have those Michelin star award-winning chefs opening spots in the Design District and Deep Ellum. And here's the thing, guys, the strip mall spots are where the magic happens. Listen, rent is cheaper, so these immigrant families can actually run their businesses and serve authentic food without charging you $40 a plate. I'm talking about places where you walk in and you're the only person speaking English and the menu is handwritten, and it ends up being the best meal you've had in months. So if you're moving to Dallas and you're writing off the food scene, you're missing out big time, guys. Just don't expect it to be walkable. You're gonna be driving to get to all of this. All right, so this one's gonna be super hyper specific, but it does matter, right? If you're commuting north in the morning or south in the evening, guys, you're going against traffic and your life is gonna be pretty good. If you're doing the opposite, you're in hell every single day. Because most of the big employers are north, right? Plano, Frisco, Legacy West, the Colony, all the corporate HQs, and most of the affordable housing is gonna be either south, east, and the outskirts. So everyone's driving north in the morning and it's bumper to bumper for miles, guys. We're talking 45 minutes to go 15 miles. And people really structure their entire lives around this bubble, right? They'll pay an extra $200,000 for a house just to shave 20 minutes off their commute time. Or they'll even take a pay cut to work closer to home. So listen closely, right? Before you accept a job or buy a house, map out that commute during rush hour, not at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. Actually drive it at 7:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, because that's gonna be your life now. And if it's brutal, you're gonna hate it really quickly. All right, so a lot of people think that Texas doesn't really have seasons, but we do. They're just kind of weird. So you've got a second summer, which happens in October when you think it's gonna be cooling down, but then all of a sudden it's 90 degrees for another week or two. You're gonna have that fake spring in February where it's 75 and beautiful for 2 weeks, and then it drops to 40 and rainy. Now we do have a real spring, which lasts about 3 weeks in April, and it's masterfully perfect. And then you've got the long summer, which is May through September, and it's just hot the whole time. But here's what people really don't expect. The weather changes fast, guys. Like, you'll have a week in November where it's 80 degrees, and then 2 days later, it'll be 35 and icing. And nobody here really knows how to handle it, guys. The whole city was shut down for a half an inch of ice around here. Now, we are getting a bit better with doing some of the salting of the roads and keeping things open, but it's still not what we're used to. They're still upgrading some of the infrastructure to handle some of this stuff, so everyone just pretty much stays at home. Now, the real crazy part about it all is you'll still need a real winter coat maybe 5 days a year. But the thing is, you're gonna absolutely need it on those 5 days. So you really can't get rid of your winter clothes, you just don't use them as much. You know, don't get me started with the pollen here in the springtime, guys. It is no joke, right? If you have allergies, you better buckle up. Okay, so everybody moves to Texas for the no state income tax, and that's great, right? But here's what they don't tell you about. The property taxes here are kind of brutal, right? We're talking anywhere from 2 to 2.5% of your home's value every single year. So if you buy a $500,000 house, you're paying $10,000 to $12,000 a year in property taxes. That's over $1,000 a month on the top of your mortgage payment, guys. And then it gets even worse because property values, they keep going up around here and your taxes go up right along with them, even if you're not selling. So people who bought houses 5 years ago are seeing their tax bills double, which increases their mortgage payment. Now they're gaining a lot of equity in their homes, but again, this is something you have to factor in before you sign on the dotted line. We tell all our clients to make sure that they file their homestead exemption once they close. That's going to save you $140,000 on the assessed value of your home when they do the calculation for your property taxes. But you really need to factor this in when you're budgeting, because that affordable $400,000 house suddenly has a monthly payment that feels like a $550,000 house when you add in the taxes, the insurance, and the HOA fees. And that brings you to the HOAs. Look, most people move down here for the brand new shiny communities with the lakes, the pools, the ponds, and everything in between, right? But then they say they don't want to have an HOA, which is kind of baffling because that's who pays for all of that. Here's the truth bomb that most realtors aren't telling you. If you want new construction, 90% of them are going to have a HOA. And that's going to be about another $100 a month. So just make sure you're doing the math before you fall in love with the house. All right, now this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's really, really real. Guys, high school football in Texas, and especially in Dallas, is a whole different type of thing, guys. These schools have stadiums that seat 12,000 to 20,000 people. They've got jumbotrons, professional level coaching. I mean, Friday nights in the fall time here, the whole town shuts down just to watch the game. And if you have kids or you're planning to have kids, this becomes a part of your daily life, right? Because the schools that are good at football, they tend to have the funding for everything else too, right? The new facilities, the better programs, more parent involvement. It's the whole ecosystem, right? And even if you don't have kids, you'll know when it's football season because traffic patterns tend to change. Look, restaurants are going to be dead on Friday nights, and everybody's wearing their school colors during the day. Listen, you'll be at a dinner party, and somebody's going to probably bring up how their kid's team is doing, and suddenly it's a 30-minute conversation. And here's the thing, it actually builds community in a really weird way. Because Dallas is so spread out and disconnected, the football games become this gathering point where people actually see their neighbors, guys. So you might think you don't care about high school football, but if you give it one season, you'll have opinions just like everybody else. All right, now I know everybody says this about Texas cities, but it hits different in Dallas because the metroplex is just massive. We're talking 9,000 square miles and everything is spread so far out, guys. There's no real public transit here. I mean, we have the DART rail, but it's really limited to the areas that it travels, and most people don't use it here. So you're gonna definitely need a car, and not just any car. You need a reliable car with good AC because you're gonna be in it a whole lot, guys. We're talking your commute, your errands, your social life, all of it requires driving. You wanna meet your friends for dinner? That's a 25-minute drive. You wanna go to the grocery store? 15 minutes down the road. And because everything is just so spread out, you can't just pop out for one thing. You're gonna tend to batch your errands together, right? You got a Costco run, then you're gonna run to Target, you're gonna go get gas, all in the same trip. Because otherwise, you're just wasting a whole day driving. But here's the part that nobody mentions, right? Parking lots. Every restaurant, every store has a massive parking lot. So the city feels less dense, less walkable. Even in the walkable areas like Uptown or Bishop Arts, you're still driving there and then walking 2 blocks over. So if you're coming from a city where you can walk or take the train everywhere, that ain't really happening here, guys. You're gonna be driving, and you're gonna be spending money on gas and maintenance and those tolls like we talked about earlier. So look, just make peace with that before you move here, because fighting it is just gonna make you miserable. Listen, Dallas has its quirks like every other major city, and some of this stuff might sound overwhelming. But here's the real reality, guys. Thousands of people are moving here every month, and they're figuring it all out as they go. Because when you know what you're getting into, guys, you can plan for it. The tolls, the property taxes, the commute, the heat, all of this is manageable when it's not a surprise. And honestly, there's a reason people keep on coming, guys. The job market is strong, the food is incredible, the space you get for your money out here compared to a lot of those other major metros is real. And if you can just crack the code on which suburb fits your lifestyle, Dallas can be a great place to call home. So if you're thinking about making that move, like I said, guys, feel free to reach out to us. All of our contact info is down in the description. But hey, if you're in research mode and you're not quite ready to hop on a call, guys, then we created whole playlists that you can binge watch, and you can check those out right there.